Hi everyone, so we are on our fourth cafe chat. Right now we are in a hotel lobby, but today is is our last full day in Berlin, and we are just going to talk about some of the things that related to history that we did throughout our time in Berlin. We only had about a week, so not as much time as we had in Paris, but we were able to do a lot of things. I guess I'll start. So one of the things that we did on our second day in Berlin was learn how to do street art or graffiti. And the day before that, we actually got a tour of a lot of like the different street art and graffiti within Berlin, specifically one area of Berlin. And so on the day that we actually learned like how to spray paint and all of that, it was through the urban artist teaching,
Yeah,
something like that. And what they basically did is like they gave us a booklet about like the different stencils and how to like do the lettering and all of that. And then also they talked about the history of the location that they did the graffiti at. So the location was the Young Afro Americans Market, and what that is, it's Young. It's basically one of the guys who did a lot of like street art. He played basketball when he was younger, and he decided that he wanted to like give back to the community and provide a space for Afro-Caribbean Germans within Berlin, and then also like across different places within Germany. And so we basically got to learn about the history of that, and I looked a little bit more into it, like on my own afterwards. And basically, like they provide a bunch of different things. They have a few restaurants in within that market that were actually really good. One of my friends had a dish from there, and it was from a country in Africa, so it's very local food. And then they also provided like different dancing spaces, and then a lot of space for people to do like street art and graffiti and all of that. So yeah, that was one of my favorite things that we did. Our paintings turned out really nice. So yeah.
I can go next. So, something that I did was I went to the Spy Museum here in Berlin, and it was just a pretty quick metro ride away. Um, and it was really cool because, like, obviously everyone wanted to be a spy as a kid. Like, it was very much like a decorated thing. I feel like for a lot of like people when they were kids, like reading about it, like it sounds so cool. So like reading about the actual thing was really interesting because it talked a lot about the history of like espionage and how it kind of started with like just like deserters, like deserting and then like giving information as kind of like a don't kill me, here's some information about troops, and then how people slowly started using like human intelligence and like moving like having people infiltrate armies and stuff, and just it kind of expanded from there, like using carrier pigeons to like write messages, a lot of like using codes like Morse code and other different kind of like emblems like that. um, it also talked a lot about the like espionage during like the Cold War, for example, especially here in Berlin. Berlin was known as like the city of espionage, the city of spies, because it was split into West and East Berlin, and those two part the division of the city meant that there were a lot of spies spying on the other half, trying to see like are they planning on trying to overthrow our government. Like the threat of like communism versus like democracy was consistently like there was a lot of tension, so there were a lot of spies, and it talked a lot about how um, there was just a lot of spy stuff happening there. There were like hidden cameras and like all sorts of devices, like the cameras were in like watches, pens, briefcases. Like some of the stuff was just insane. Like that they managed to put cameras in there and like microphones, tapping things. So it had a lot of history stuff like that, and then it also had like some interactive stuff. Like there was a lie detector. There was also like a laser puzzle, like you know, like we have to like duck through the lasers, like in the movies, which I did successfully do.
We did not.
We did not.
We did not successfully make that.
But yeah, it was really fun, and I just really liked learning about kind of like the history of spies and espionage, especially through like the lens of Berlin's history in that, and it was real cool. So
So the second day we got here, Chloe, Savannah, and I went to a couple of museums here in Berlin. The one that we found the most interesting and the most, I guess, valuable was the Natural History Museum. And basically, so when you first walk in, it's like all about prehistoric history and like it had huge like sculptures of dinosaurs, like the skeletons and all of that. And they had a whole bunch of like a whole wall of just like fossils and stuff. And then another thing I thought that was cool was that they had like these binoculars that you look into, and it would bring like the dinosaurs to life. So like the ones that were all like skeletons and stuff, like it would show you the skin and the muscles and like everything that that put together and like how they would act, I guess, in the wild. Like it had a bunch of vegetation around it, like it was like eating trees. It was really cute. And then you would go into this other exhibit about space. And so, like, when you look up, there's a whole, I guess, what should I call it? Like TV thing, and it showed like stars and stuff. I don't know, my brain is not working right now. But yeah, and then it had a whole exhibit on like the different planets, and I thought it was super interesting how like in German, every single planet was the same except for Earth. I don't remember what it was called now, but I just know it was different. And then the next exhibit was like a geode and rock exhibit. That was really cool to look through. They were all super pretty. It was a huge, huge room. There was a lot of rocks, and we managed to find some from Tucson, Arizona, and like that was pretty cool to see. And then the next rooms after that were like more animal related. And then the very last room that we went through was kind of creepy. There was a bunch of like fish and stuff in jars, and it was like this huge wall, like square of just like all these jars and fish and like the ammonia and all of that. It was very creepy. They were all very wrinkly, and I can't imagine what it smells like to be in there.
There were more inside.
There were more inside, yeah. 'Cause
Yeah.
It was like there was like the perimeter that we walked around, but there was like a whole room inside of it with just rows and rows of just more stuff in it. Yeah.
Alright, so then the most recent thing we did was yesterday. And we went to Sachsenhausen concentration camp. So we just took the train out there. We had a tour guide helping us get there. It was super informative tour, I thought. I personally learned a lot about the Holocaust that I did not know previously. A couple things that stood out to me were one, that there is a difference between camps that were designed to be concentration camps and those that were designed to be extermination camps. Or I guess extermination sites.
Yeah.
So, two different things, which I didn't really distinguish between the two before. Now that's not to say that people didn't die at the concentration camps, because obviously they did. It's just that the camp wasn't designed for that. But it was pretty horrific to learn about all the ways that people like died in these concentration camps, because people were worked to death and there were just horrible living conditions. People were treated like animals. And then I think the other thing that I took away from it was that, or that I guess that kind of I remember from the very beginning of the tour, is he said that the concentration camps were not initially meant to hold Jewish people. I think, is that what he said? It was a lot of political rivals, social outcasts, people with disabilities, and they referred to these camps as re-education.
Was it? Yeah, it was kind of like that.
Re-education. Basically removing these outcasts from society because of that Aryan ideal that they had. So that was really interesting. But there's a lot to say about it that I couldn't cover in just now. So if you guys have things that you want to remember briefly, if you want to move on.
Yeah, I just think the relevance of the concentration, like just everything that happened and how we're seeing like a lot of repetition in life now is interesting.
I thought it was super scary how like relevant it is today.
Yeah.
He said 45% of the police force here was the like neo-Nazi.
Neo-Nazis. I didn't realize the neo-Nazi population was that large at all.
I don't know. In the village that we were in, 95% were like neo-Nazis.
Yeah.
In this one tiny village,
Yeah.
that
Right
was
next
where
to it.
the concentration
Where so many
camp
died.
was. I thought that was super insane, and then it was so shocking to me how normalized like everybody was with living right next to the concentration camp. Like there were
Especially
people-
for some of those houses, they were built by people who lived and worked at the concentration camps. Like it was their job to build houses for the guards, and those houses still exist there today, and people are living in it, and they just don't make a bite of their day.
And like the ranking system, like they had like the Jewish people were like the last people like on the bottom, but then like it kept like going up. But like I didn't really know about the other like the different groups.
Section.
Yeah, the
There's, like,
subsections that were
social and
also
racial.
I didn't realize how.
yeah, many.
Yeah.
Cause like
I knew homosexuals were prosecuted,
Yeah.
but I did not think it was nearly that many. I didn't even realize that was like a classification they had.
Yeah.
I thought it was just like a few that would like,
yeah,
I don't know. That was shocking.
it was.
I didn't know also that they had a separate camp for women as well. I didn't know
Yeah.
they separated it like that.
I think it was just for
It was
that
just
one.
that specific one. I think because Auschwitz had both, but I think some camps were
But
gender
Auschwitz,
specific.
was Auschwitz a concentration camp or an extermination?
That was
Eh.
specifically, I think, extermination.
That was extermination.
Yeah. I think I will finish this off on a happier note. I think like 2 or 3 days ago, Savannah, Bree, and I, we all went to the Victory Tower in Berlin, which was built in the 1860s, I believe, for the Prussia's victory during the Austro-Prussian War. I think it's very cool, though. It stands the test of time because it survived through World War II and Hitler, where a lot of buildings did not. And so it's been around for quite a while. And they renovated it, I believe, in the 80s and built it up a little bit. And we went up to the very top. It was only like 3 euros, and you get a nice view of the, what is it called, Tier Gardens?
Yeah.
Tier Gardens, and it's like very 360 up there. It's all around.
Very beautiful view.
It was a hike up those stairs for sure.
Oh,
But
You can see the difference where they added.
yeah, you can. Yeah, the next like thing up. But so that's been our experience in Berlin so far. And yeah, thank you.